welcome to part 74 of my report on the McCarrick Report by Patrick Parson. Continuing chapter 22 of the McCarrick Report, titled OEC Decision-Making and McCarrick's Activity Following Pope Benedict XVI's Trip to the United States, and Prefect Ray's June 14, 2008 letter to McCarrick, mid-2008 to early 2009. We are finally completing Part A, Richard Sipes' open letter to Pope Benedict XVI, Archbishop Vigano's memorandum, and Nuncio Sambi's report, April to May 2008. In our last segment, we looked at Nuncio Sambi's second report on McCarrick. Today we look at points of agreement between Nuncio Sambi and Monsignor Wuerl. Point 1. The risk of a scandal-inducing campaign against the Cardinal exists, no matter his place of residence. Point 2. Nobody will succeed in convincing the Cardinal to accept a life in retirement. It is not part of who he is. If it were to be imposed on him, psychological collapse, depression, and even psychosis are to be feared. Point 3. The most protected and watched over place for him is where he currently lives. It is an isolated place far from the city center. The seminarians have no contact with him. His visits are monitored and appear practically non-existent. In a house for him alone, he would become much more difficult to monitor. Now, as a side note, a footnote says that Wuerl felt McCarrick should not remain in the seminary. Another footnote indicates that Wuerl said, "Nobody ever told me anything about OEC officials wanting him to move. Nothing." Wuerl is also said to have recalled McCarrick asking him to find another place for McCarrick to live, but doesn't say if Wuerl tried or not. Wuerl also later stated that Sambi indicated McCarrick's travel was a problem, but did not tell Wuerl why it was a problem. Sounds like nobody is telling Monsignor Wuerl anything. Wuerl also said later, when he was a cardinal, that at this time he had never heard any rumors or allegations regarding McCarrick's sexual misconduct with priests or seminarians. Wuerl said he, quote, concluded at some point that McCarrick put himself too much in the limelight, and that this was not appreciated, unquote. He also noted that McCarrick was constantly saying he had enemies, and that he would state, quote, some of them, OEC officials, are uncomfortable with me or don't like me, unquote. Cardinal Wuerl agreed that while McCarrick was generally well-liked and appreciated, there were those in the church and in the media who did not care for him and criticized him, particularly regarding certain political or pastoral issues, which are not specified in the report here. Now, getting back to the points, point 4, Monsignor Wuerl is of the opinion that he, McCarrick, should not accept invitations in the United States. Cardinal McCarrick recently spoke at Notre Dame University on the occasion of the awarding of diplomas. This reawakens the aggressiveness of those who do not agree with his ideas and behaviors. I have no difficulty in reproaching him in this regard. The United States mass media never mentions his travels and his speeches abroad. And point 5. From every person we must bring out the best that he has. Perhaps it is best to leave him free to pursue his commitments abroad to ecumenical and interreligious dialogue and for peace in the Middle East, so long as he does so wisely, and ask him not to make commitments within this country. And that concludes Part A of Chapter 22. Our next segment will begin Part B, which is Cardinal Ray's written indications to McCarrick, June to August 2008. So what have we seen so far in Chapter 22? Certain members of the church hierarchy are concerned about allegations that have been made against McCarrick, but no one has seemed able to take effective steps in dealing with McCarrick, who, despite his assurances, seems unable to listen to any steps to remove him from his seminary residence or to prevent his public travel and appearances. Speaking of effective steps, we should try taking steps to assure our own salvation. One way we can start that process is by praying the Fatima prayer. O my Jesus, forgive us our sins, save us from the fires of hell, and lead all souls to heaven, especially those in most need of thy mercy.